Everybody. Thanks for coming to the JSON P 1.1 Hangout. We have the spec lead of JSR 374 from Oracle here, Kingman Chung. And you.
Oh, something happened.
I'm going to share my screen here. Hold on.
Okay.
So in just a minute, you should be able to see this, and I'm going to make it full screen.
Yeah, yeah, it is
full screen.
But can we be sure that people are seeing the broadcast? I mean, have they messaged you that they are seeing the broadcast?
Yes. I'm going to make it full screen, and they'll be able to see the slides.
Ah, all right. So, yeah, so should I just go ahead or what?
Yes. Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to the Hangout for the Adopt-a-JSR for JSON processing 1.1. Sorry for the technical problem we are having, so we started a bit late, and I hope that you could all hear and see the broadcast. Heather, if they want to ask questions, how can I get the questions?
We'll start the chat after you present.
Okay, all right. So I would, start off by presenting some slides. Maybe take 10 or 15 minutes just to go over some of the basics about like where to find the results, where to get the source code and the binary and things like that. And we could, open up for chat, later on. Okay, next one, please, Heather. Yeah, a little bit. I'm currently the spec lead for JSON P 1.1, and I also have been involved in expert groups for being a spec lead for other Java EE technologies like EL and JSPs. Yeah, this is my email address if you need to get in touch with me and for anything. Next slide. Yeah, I'm going to briefly, go over some of the slides that would tell you how to, get to various places that we keep our information, our specs, and things like that. And I would, talk a little bit about what is new in this current JSR. I won't be able to cover, each of the features in much detail, but, this is just will give you guys an idea about the special area that you would be interested in and focus on. And lastly, of course, I will talk about what you can help, to make this JSR a better JSR. Okay, the official spec request, is in JCP website. You could go there and read about it. And there is also a community tab, for this particular JSR. Right now, it's nothing in there yet, but we could add information in there if we see a need for it. Next slide. Hey, Heather, all these slides will be available after the hangout, right? So people could still go back to it and find the actual link, because I don't want them to have to copy it right now. All right, the official specification project is hosted on java.net, and in there is a mailing list, for people who want to, follow the discussion. The user's mailing list is only a read on. Well, actually, you could also send the mail to this mailing list, but you won't be able to send requests to the spec mailing list. So, but we usually monitor the this mailing list if there are questions or requests coming in, and there is also a Jira in there that if you guys find any problem or any requests for new features, you could do it over there. Next slide, please. I had the next slide. Okay. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I go back to the previous one. All right. We also have a project, that we on java.net that we use to actually implement the reference implementation. And in this project, this is where the source codes are kept. And so it is a Git, repository. So you could download, the repository sources, with this, particular Git address. This one is only a read-only, access. So at this point, but you could download it and build the binaries from the source really easily. So we use Maven to do that. So you just do a Git pull. You need to copy the Git repository first, and then build it over there. The instructions is also with this project somewhere. If instead you want to do some browsing on the source, we also have a link that you could look at the source, online. Next slide, please. Okay, and there is also a snapshot, for the current APIs in somewhere, and this link would provide you, provide you to the actual APIs. So if you just want to find out what kind of things that we have so far, you could go there and look. This one is a snapshot of what we have currently, and this since the project is ongoing, so we would update this link from time to time. But this would give you the most current view to what we have in the API. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to briefly touch about some of the features that we are trying to do in this JSR. And there is a Jira for the umbrella feature list. In there, it lists all the major features that we are trying to add. So if you are interested, go over there, and take a look. It will give you more information about each of the new features. Next slide, please. Okay, we are trying to do a lot of things, into this JSR. So I'm trying right now to just go over each of these lists in a little bit, more detail, but not too much. And yeah, and like I say, the umbrella Jira issue, is the pray that you.
Because I know some people are still trying to join, so you can go ahead and take your time.
Pardon me?
I said you can go ahead and take your time. I think some people are still trying to join.
Oh, okay.
But go ahead.
But they, but they are still seeing the broadcast right now,
Yes.
right?
And
Okay.
this is being recorded for future use, but yeah, I'm just letting you know.
All right. One of the important things we are trying to do is to bring the current API current to support a lot of new standard that came out after we released JSON P 1.0. And some of the RFCs, have been final since then, and we feel it's important that we support them. The first one is the 7159. This is the most current JSON standard. And so it's just a small upgrade, small update to the previous one. So the most important feature in this new standard that is new is that at the top JSON level, it allows any JSON values instead of just a JSON array and JSON object as previously defined. So we supported that one. And 6901, it's the JSON pointer that let you reference a JSON value inside a JSON document, and this is very useful sometimes to just refer to a particular value. And 6902 is the JSON patch that let you modify or transform a JSON document. And 7396 is the JSON merge patch. This is another way to do a patch, but functionality is a little bit more restricted, but it is also more easy to use. So we also supported that. And to support JSON patch and JSON merge patch, we also need to add some more low-level operation so that one could edit or transform a JSON array or JSON object. And remember, in JSON 1.0, we define a JSON object model that is immutable. And a lot of users think that an immutable JSON object model, though it is useful, it's also restrictive. And if they want to modify a particular value in a JSON tree that is being built, okay. Yes. So we added some low-level operation so that one could, delete, add, or modify or move values around in a JSON array in a JSON object. And it comes handy, because we needed this operation to implement the JSON patch and JSON merge patch. And in this release of the JSON, we also have decided to require using JDK8. And in JDK8, we all know that JDK8 introduced very useful features like the lambda expression and stream operations. And since a JSON array and since a JSON object model is actually built on top of Java arrays, Java lists, and Java maps, so it lends itself into doing JSON queries with the JDK8 stream operations. And the only problem with applying the stream operation directly on JSON object model is that sometimes we would like to collect the results in JSON arrays or JSON objects, and if you are using the Java Extreme operation directly, you will be getting the results in the Java list or Java maps. So we find it necessary to actually implement some of the collector so that we could use those, to collect the query results in the JSON array or JSON object, and we find that really useful. And we also, in doing a JSON parsing, find it sometimes useful that instead of getting a stream of JSON parse events, it might be useful to also get a JDK stream from parser in such a way that you will get a stream of JSON values from parsing, and that actually bring me to the next topic that we want to support, which is to add some support for processing JSON, big JSON data. And by this, I mean that in the case that you want to do some queries on JSON, but the JSON document itself is too big to fit into the memory, and so you would like to be able to look at a small piece of the document and find out what it is and decide whether you want to keep it or you want to throw it away, and do it this way. And so we have modified the JSON parser to let the JSON users get a small portion of the whole thing, not just the parse event, but be able to actually look at a array or an object or any value inside the stream. And this is still ongoing, so we are still not finished with doing what we want to do here, but there are still room for improvement over there. So so you have it over here. This is some of the major addition to this current JSR to just update the API to make it more useful. Next slide, please.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for that summary. Go ahead.
Okay, I still haven't seen any people joining, but
yeah, there's people watching the recording, so people are having trouble getting into the live hangout, but there are people watching the recording. There's 13 people on there right now watching this streaming.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to talk about what you guys could help. All right, and the first thing is to tell people about this JSR.
And how can they help as Java user group leaders with their on which slide number is this? Slide 10. So Adopt-a-JSR needs your help. Go ahead.
Right. So tell people about this JSR and ask people to use it and to give feedbacks. And right now, we don't have a early developer release yet, but it would happen pretty soon. I believe that we could have a early developer release sometime sometime the end of the month or the early next month, right? But like I say, the source is easy to download and build. So if any of you want to try it right now today, you could download the source from the link that I just provided earlier on, and build it and start using it. And of course, we could need a lot of help in testing, whether the API is useful or whether there are any bugs in our implementation and so on, and tell us about it. Next slide, please.
Okay, so spread the word, download the binary. I'll add that to the resources, the java.net project. That's where you can get the binary, correct?
Yeah, and like I say, the binary is not ready yet. It's not available today, but it will be pretty soon.
Okay, so I'll get the link and put that in the Hangout. So I'll go ahead to the next slide.
Right, and of course, for those of you who are more technical oriented and would like to deep dive into the actual API, you are also welcome to do so. Yeah, get to the Java doc that I just provided and give me feedbacks. Okay, any kind of feedback, small typos, grammatical mistakes, or the API design itself. You think that some of these things are useful, whether it's not useful, and whether there are areas of this thing that that you think we should add. So any feedback would also be welcome at this stage. And of course, you could also download the source and get the reference implementation. And if you feel inclined, you could also just look at the source critically. And if you could spot, any areas for improvements or any bugs or any performance issues, also let us know. And if you are really willing, to get your hand dirty and take part in coding, also let me know. Then I could see if we could also meet you a developer for this project. Next slide, please.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and you are not also restricted to what we have right now. If you see anything on the horizon and that is related to JSON processing, and you think that we should include those new features into the next release of the standard, also let us know. We, because it's still early, and we could accommodate any request. It's not saying that we would take anything that is suggested, but I'm just saying that any suggestion at this point would be considered, and we would seriously look at those suggestions and decide whether we can include them in the next release or not.
Okay. Is there any time frame for that? So you're getting pretty close to your early draft review, right? So any suggestions such as new features need to come
out. We could take any suggestions up to the final release. Yeah, even if we are in the phase of early developer draft or the proposed final draft, there are still room for doing that. It's just that when we get closer to the release,
if you don't mind repeating that, because it just cut out a little bit. So go ahead and repeat what you just said.
Right. So yeah, so any suggestion would still be welcome, up to the final release. But like I said, it's getting harder later on. But so the earlier it is, the better, of course. Then because the API is still not cast in concrete.
Okay.
So this is all I have for the prepared slides. I don't know what else to do at this point.
Okay. Let's see. You have a roadmap here.
Oh, I have a roadmap. Yeah, this is also really tentative. So I expect the early draft, like I say, this month or the next, and the public review, is probably going to happen end of the year. And at that time, we will also release a reference implementation. And the early next year, then we would release the proposed final draft, and I hope that we could have a final release by the third quarter of next year, before the Java 1 for next year. This is pretty much, it's pretty much in line with the rest of the Java EE specs, if not earlier, but it's pretty much the case. But of course, this is still tentative, so anything could change.
Okay. All right, that's good to see. And I know the JSR page is not updated yet, but we will be updating the JSR page with these new dates. It's a little bit later than initially thought, but that was quite an aggressive schedule, so a little bit overly optimistic. So we'll be updating all of the JSR pages with these dates.
Right, the schedule will be updated, pretty soon.
Yes. So I'm going to exit this, the slides, and I will share with everyone. Can you see this JSR page here? I'm going to add this to the resources. This is the jcp.org page. Can you see it?
Let me see. Not yet. Okay, I could see.
Okay.
Yeah, I can see the community process program. I can see the API for JSON processing.
Getting some people online here. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to turn on the Q&A feature.
Okay.
Okay. And there was a question already that came in to me. And the first one, I have two questions so far. The first one I got from Tam Arazu in India. He's with the Chennai Java user group. And his question is, where can I find the Java doc for going through the API design?
Is the question where to find the Java docs?
In the Chennai Jug. He's based in India, but he's having some trouble locating the Java doc for going through the API.
Yeah, one of the slides actually have a link to the actual Java docs. So I believe it is in the first 4 or 5 slides in there that contain a link to the Java docs. And like I said, that Java doc is still evolving, it's changing. So, but it is a snapshot of what we have currently.
Okay. So I will make sure to post a link to where we can find those slides, but it's in the slides that you just went through.
Right.
Okay. All right. And we have another key, and that is from Shahzad Badar from the Pakistan Java user group, and he would like to know how you can apply to become a developer for the features. So I think he's talking about maybe working on the expert group or helping you with the reference implementation. I'll ask him to clarify a little bit there.
Okay. For being a developer, you need to. So there is one project for the reference implementation. It is also, links, is also there in the slides. If you want to be a developer, you need to get the source out first and build it yourself, and look at the source and tell us a little bit, what you want to do. There are currently some bugs in there. You could start by, say, fixing some bugs, and send us, the fix, in a patch, and the expert group will go over, your work and comment on it. And so what I'm saying is, you need to, get your hand wet first, and do some actual work and show us, what you can do. and after a couple of things like this, then we all decided that you would be a very good addition to the developer team. Then we'll take a vote, and everybody say yes. Then we'll let you into a developer mode role. So it's just like any other open source project. You need to prove yourself first before we could allow you there.
Yeah, so start in the issue tracker. That's a good suggestion. So I'm going to put a link to the issue tracker. You can actually get to that either from the jcp.org page that I had showing, or from the java.net project page.
Right.
So there's a link there to the issue tracker, and it's here. If you're looking on my screen, it says issue tracking. So that's where you can go to get to the issue tracker, and I'll go ahead and include that in the links.
Right, but the user might be talking about, the actual work in the reference implementation, so be sure to point to that Java.net project. So there are two in there. One is for the spec. We talk about the spec API issue. The other is the reference implementation. And the expert group, actually do both. But, if you're more interested in the implementation, go to the RI project.
Okay, so you get to that from the project page, which is here. And is it this one? Are you looking at my screen?
Yeah, but I have not.
That's the spec. So when I post the results, I'll make sure to include the link to the issue tracker for the RI, if there's a separate one for the RI.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but the user could actually, find the link, from my slides too, but it's just not as convenient to use.
Oh, from the slides, sure. So
okay.
That is here.
So are these the only two questions they have?
Yeah. This one. Okay, so it's there. All right, so I'll go back to the Q&A. Hold on, because there's another question here. Hold on. All right, so what do I need to test the new version of JSON P in Glassfish 4.1?
Did he say mention Glassfish 4.1?
That's the question. So, yeah. So if there's something else he should test and not that, whatever. Yeah, but that's the question.
JSON, the current JSON P 1.1 is a standalone project, and it has not actually been integrated into Glassfish 4.1 yet. But if you have Glassfish 4.1, it would be fairly easy to just drop the JSON P 1.1 jar into the Glassfish lib library. Just replace whatever you have in Glassfish. So in Glassfish, you do have JSON P 1.0. So just replace that with JSON P 1.1. Then you will be able to use it in Glassfish 4.1. But of course, the new feature that in JSON P 1.1, is not in JSON P 1.0. So if you want to use the new features, then you could do so that way.
Okay. All right. If you want to follow up and ask another question, let me know. I have one more question here, just that is coming in on the live. See, what is the most useful support that you need at this time? And this is from Cesar Hernandez, who is a Java user group leader.
Yeah, this is a very broad and general question, and Well, it depends on which part of EE you're talking about. I guess at this point, if you have a need for doing JSON processing in EE, you could do it in JSRS or things like that. One of the main goals, I guess originally for doing a JSON patch, for instance, is to be able to modify a remote JSON document. And so, what you can do is to send a JSON patch operation, and try to modify a remote document that way through a request. That could be, one way I see them might be useful, although, none of the current Java EE web containers actually supports doing such thing yet, right? But if you want to do some local JSON processing, like if you get a JSON file from the request and you want to look at, what is in there, and so you want to do some JSON queries, then you could also do so with our new APIs. And if you want to look at this, modify it a little bit using JSON patch and send it back to.
You're just frozen there for a second, so you might want to repeat that last part.
Okay. So it's hard to say. It all depends on your particular application, and you see if you have a need for doing all this kind of stuff, with JSON.
Okay.
Yeah, but I still want to emphasize that the JSON-P, API is a standalone API. It's not restricted to what you can do in Java EE. You could actually use it in a standalone Java Java application.
Are you still there? Oh, I just can't hear I can't hear you right now.
What, you cannot hear?
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
To see if I have any other questions. Questions. Back to the questions. I don't see any more questions. In the Hangouts, or you can put them in the on the live Q&A.
Okay, well, it's
Okay. All right, we did have 13 viewers live, so thanks all for joining us who were able to join us live. This is being recorded, so it's going to be available afterwards for everyone to listen to. And if we get more questions coming in, I can forward them on to Kingman and he can get back to you. And I'll publish links to the slides that you've prepared that have all of the relevant links to the issue tracker and the reference implementation and that kind of thing. It looks like I just got one more question, so we'll take that because we have 9 minutes left. And this is another question from Tam. And his question is there a replace operations support available? Is there a replace operation support available?
Yes, actually, the JSON patch standard include a replace operation, and so it is supported. So you could actually take a JSON pointer and use it to refer to a value inside a JSON tree, and have a replace operation in there. So a replace operation is in the low level edit transformation operation I mentioned in the slides. That one you could do that. You could replace any array members or any members of the object. You could replace it with anything. So it is there both in the low level as well as in the high level, JSON patch.
Okay. I really appreciate your time, Kingman, and also everyone who joined, all of the user groups who joined. It looks like we had 2 more people just join. So since we do have, according to my watch, 5 more minutes left, if anyone wants to ask a question, we'll hang out here for a couple minutes. I have the Q&A feature enabled. So I see that 2 more people just.
Yeah, it's too bad that they could actually join in the video hangout, but
Yeah, we had it was a little rough getting started, but I think we made it. Okay, let's see. He's saying he has posted another question, so let me just make sure I don't see it. So I just got a message that someone posted a question. I think I answered all of the questions that I see here now. So if you think you've posted a question, I've answered all of the ones that are in the live chat. Okay. All right, thanks everybody for joining. This should be available shortly. If you have additional questions or other JSRs that you'd like to hear about, please let me know and we'll organize another hangout for everybody. So thanks for joining. I hope to see some of you and talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, Heather, for setting this up. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.